Okay, picture this. You're standing on the edge of this huge ocean. You know how to swim, right? You can paddle around. But then there's this whole other world underneath, deep sea stuff, powerful currents, hidden depths you haven't really explored yet.
Mhm.
And that often feels like advanced English learners, doesn't it? You feel competent, sure, but you're also aware there's this like profound mastery just out of reach. So today we're diving into that deeper ocean. We're looking at what it truly means to hit those C1 and C2 English levels, according to the CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. And look, this isn't just about packing in more words. It's way more fundamental. It's about a shift in how you actually operate with English.
Exactly. And to help us navigate this, we've got a pretty comprehensive guide here. It's called Mastering Advanced English, a C1 and C2 guide. It's designed to be this structured, evidence-based roadmap for anyone really aiming for those top levels.
Right. So our mission today, we want to pull out the most valuable bits from this guide for you, give you a kind of shortcut to understanding what C1 and C2 are all about. We'll find some surprising facts, I think, and definitely some practical strategies you can use like right away. Okay, so this profound shift you mentioned, it's not just more words, it's operating differently. What does that actually look like day to day
Yeah.
for someone moving up from, say, B2?
Yeah, good question. Basically, at C1 and C2, you're talking about operating really effectively, effortlessly even, in quite complex situations. Think academic settings, professional life, tricky social stuff. You're not just getting the main message, you're picking up on what's implied, the subtle stuff, the nuances. And when you speak or write, it's spontaneous, it's precise, it's adaptable. The real key, I think, is you're not just getting your point across anymore. You're making the language work for you, almost instinctively.
And the CEFR framework really tries to pin this down, doesn't it?
It does.
It organizes everything into 6 levels, A1 beginner, right up to C2 mastery. And C1, C2, they call those the proficient user levels. What's crucial, and you touched on this, is they use these can-do descriptors. So it's not about how many hours you studied or memorizing grammar rules.
Okay.
It's about what can you actually do with the language. Listening, reading, talking, writing in the real world.
Yeah, and it's designed to be universal, too, language agnostic.
Okay, so let's zoom in. C1. What does a C1 user genuinely sound like? What can they really do?
Well, a C1 user, that's a significant jump. They can understand a really wide range of demanding texts, longer stuff, and they're good at recognizing those implicit meanings we talked about.
Yep.
Think about like reading a complex novel. They get the plot, sure, but also the subtle themes, why the characters do what they do and when they speak. It's fluent, it's spontaneous, not much hesitation or searching for the right word. They can use the language flexibly to shifting style easily for social chat versus, say, an academic presentation or a work meeting. And writing. They can produce clear, well-structured, pretty detailed stuff on complex topics.
Can you give a really specific example? Like what's a can-do that clearly marks someone as C1, not B2?
Okay, sure. A C1 speaker, for instance, can follow extended speech, even if it isn't perfectly structured, even if connections are just implied, not spelled out.
Ah, okay.
Or they could read a specialized article, maybe on, I don't know, quantum physics, even if they're not a physicist,
Right.
and still grasp the main arguments. And in a discussion, they don't just give their opinion. They can formulate ideas precisely. They skillfully connect what they're saying to what others have already contributed. It's about really participating, not just adding a comment.
Right, deeper engagement. Okay, so if that's C1,
Yeah.
what about C2? That's got to be more than just
It's a C1 level.
refining it.
Exactly. It's taking that mastery to a level that's, well, near native. Very close command. A C2 user can understand, with guys, pretty much everything they hear or read. It's almost effortless.
Wow.
They can summarize information from different sources, maybe conflicting sources, and reconstruct arguments logically, coherently, in their own expression. It's exceptionally fluent, spontaneous, and precise. They can differentiate really fine shades of meaning, even in complex, sensitive situations.
So not just fluent, but really agile. Like
Yeah.
they can dance with the language.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, agile. A C2 user joins any conversation effortlessly. They know idioms, colloquialisms,
And use them naturally.
and use them naturally, yeah. They can even backtrack or rephrase if they hit a slight bump, and often others won't even notice listening. No problem with pretty much any spoken language, even fast native speed, once they've tuned into the accent a bit. It's like operating without a linguistic safety net, really.
The distinction between C1 and C2 is fascinating. Both get you into university in English, right? But the guide uses this analogy I liked. C1 is the chess master, really skilled, strategic.
Mm-hmm.
But C2, that's the grandmaster.
Yeah.
A complete command, knowing most of what an educated native speaker knows, though, maybe tiny occasional mistakes might still slip in.
Sure, that can happen.
It's about that seamless integration. And it often surprises people, I think, that getting to C1 or C2 isn't just about learning more stuff. Sometimes it's about unlearning habits that got you to B2.
That's a great point.
You're moving from, like, assembling language piece by piece to designing with it. Architecture versus assembly line.
Perfect analogy. And the real world value here is huge. These levels measure what you can do. For instance, that C1 advanced qualification, accepted by over 9,000 institutions and businesses globally.
Wow, 9,000.
Yeah, that's a powerful credential. It shows you can handle academic courses, communicate at a managerial level, participate confidently in complex meetings. It really does open doors.
Which leads us nicely to Table 1 in the guide. The CEFR C1 versus C2 proficiency descriptors. The guide calls it indispensable. Why is that side-by-side comparison so crucial for learners aiming high?
Well, I think what it does brilliantly is it takes these abstract ideas like fluency or nuance and turns them into concrete, actionable goals. When you see the specific benchmarks laid out next to each other, you can actually self-assess much more effectively.
Ah, okay, see the gaps.
Exactly. You see the gaps, you identify precisely where you need to focus your effort, it clarifies the target, and it gives you clues about the kind of learning you need to do to make that next leap. It's like having a detailed map instead of just a vague direction.
Makes sense.
So, okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the how. We know what C1 and C2 are, but how do you get there? Achieving these levels, it's not just about having a bigger vocabulary list, it's mastering the nuance, the application of words, moving beyond just knowing a word to using it with precision. Authenticity. That's key for lexical mastery.
Okay, let's start with something tricky. Idiomatic expressions and colloquialisms. The challenge, obviously, is you can't guess the meaning from the words themselves. Like, let the cat out of the bag.
Right.
So just memorizing lists is useless. I remember trying that with French idioms. Complete disaster. Sounded totally unnatural. What does the guide suggest instead?
Yeah, that's a classic trap. Rote memorization just doesn't work. The guide really pushes contextual learning. You need to see or hear these phrases used in real sentences, stories, dialogues.
Okay.
So you don't just learn spill the beans means reveal a secret. You encounter it like, oh no, Sarah accidentally spilled the beans about the party. That makes it stick. Immersion is also vital, getting exposure through authentic stuff, books, movies, TV, songs.
Real language.
Real language, exactly. And then for practice, things like role-playing, maybe idiom matching games, they force you to actually use them, which is crucial.
And phrasal verbs are kind of similar, aren't they? Those combinations like get up, put out, look into, where the little preposition totally changes the meaning.
Oh, definitely. They're often idiomatic, unpredictable, real headaches for learners.
So what's the approach?
Well, the guide suggests developing more of a pattern recognition mindset, a sense-making approach, not trying to translate word for word.
Right.
Practically. Things like visual aids can help, like do an image search online for get up. You'll see people getting out of bed, standing up from a chair. It helps solidify the meaning visually. Also, introduce them slowly, small chunks, and encourage creative use. Try writing a short story using a few, or find them in song lyrics. Build that intuitive feel.
Okay, this next one feels really important for that C1, C2 jump. Developing nuanced synonym usage. It's not just about knowing lots of words for big, right? It's about precision, sounding authentic, maybe even rhetorical effect. How do you avoid just swapping words randomly?
Yeah, this is a big step up. The guide emphasizes active reading, really noticing how skilled writers choose their words and vary their vocabulary. And using a thesaurus, it needs to be strategic.
How so?
Don't just grab the first synonym. Always cross-reference. Look up the definition, check example sentences, maybe usage notes in a good dictionary. Because, well, not all synonyms are interchangeable, are they?
Definitely not.
You absolutely have to pay attention to things like collocations, which words naturally hang out together. Like we say heavy rain, not usually big rain.
Right. So it boils down to understanding the subtle differences.
Yeah.
Connotation, the feeling a word evokes, register, is it formal or casual, those collocations, and intensity, how strong is the word?
Exactly. Those layers are what make your language sound genuinely advanced, not just full of words.
And how do you make these nuances stick?
For retention, the guide likes thematic grouping, maybe using mind maps to link related words and concepts, and also spaced repetition, using flashcard apps like Anki or Quizlet. They really help reinforce those connections over time.
Makes sense. Okay, zoom me out slightly again. Integrating specialized terminology. This isn't just general English anymore, is it? This is about your specific field, academic or professional. Developing domain-specific communicative competence.
That's the term, yes. It's about bridging your general English skill with the unique language needed in your specific area.
So how do you tackle that?
Strategies include, well, observing experts. How do they talk or write in your field? Engaging directly with field-specific content is crucial. Online courses, academic papers, professional forums, webinars. Also, actively honing your writing skills for that context, maybe drafting project proposals or technical documents.
The hands dirty with it.
Precisely. And actively participating in discussions, presentations, collaborative learning helps too. And the guide also mentions language scaffolding, which sounds technical, but it's basically using temporary supports.
Like training wheels.
Exactly like training wheels. Things like visuals, graphic organizers, sentence starters, word banks. They help you build up to handling complex language independently.
Got it. And the guide also points to Table 2, Advanced Vocabulary Expansion Strategies. Sounds like a useful summary.
It is. It's a great quick reference because it really underlines that different types of vocabulary, idioms, phrasal, synonyms, technical terms, they all need slightly different tailored learning approaches. You can't just use one method for everything. It serves as a nice practical checklist, really, for developing your vocabulary strategically.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. To recap our deep dive today, hitting C1 and especially C2 English, it's clearly not just about being fluent. It's really about depth, it's about nuance, and that effortless, authentic application of the language. It's like moving from just understanding words to actually understanding the world through those words and expressing yourself fully within that world.
Well said. And that brings us to a final thought, a provocative one, perhaps, for you to consider. Given that mastering these advanced levels demands such a deep grasp of implicit meaning, spontaneity, real-world use, what role do you think AI might play? These emerging AI language models, the ones driving advanced chatbots, can they genuinely help learners reach C1 or C2? Can they truly simulate that authentic immersion, give the kind of nuanced feedback we get from, say, human interaction or expert guides? Or are they maybe destined to remain just sophisticated tools, but ultimately limited? It certainly raises some big questions about the future of language learning at these highest levels.